Well, hello, and we are back again, Nikki and I. Hi, Nikki, how are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you so much, and still patiently waiting for that spring. We had a whole bunch of snow recently, so trying to feel the vibes. They're slowly coming, but the grass is getting green. I know where you are, it's probably lovely flowers, but
We're getting there.
yeah, I think we're all patiently waiting. It's been a strange spring so far here in Alberta and BC. So, in the meantime,
Yes, that indeed.
welcome to the Growth Mindset Collective with Nikki and I. And today we're going to be talking about mental freedom, expand and elevate. This session is actually about breaking free from limiting thoughts, expanding your awareness, and raising into a higher level of clarity, maybe confidence, and inner peace as well, or all of them. And if you've been feeling stuck in overthinking, maybe doubts or old patterns, this is your space to perhaps reset, refocus, and realign with who you are becoming. So join us as we continue this wonderful talk. So I'm always curious what Nikki has for us. So Nikki, go ahead. The
Yes.
floor is yours.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about before we go too deep into that is I want you to think about checking yourself between your current gap of your self-image and your desired identity. um, that gap kind of crosses the effort alone, and it crosses this identity transformation that's really important for us when we get down to the freedom to expand and elevate. Um, Here, we're talking about the ability to think independently from conditioning and circumstances. So, we want to do a little bit of a check first. And then let's talk about expand. Expanding means kind of in mindset here, it's the delivery growing beyond current paradigms like your belief system, habits, and identity, which is why I asked that first question. And to elevate means to raise the quality of your thinking to align with your higher results. And I think Ava could talk about this quite a bit as well, but a lot of the things in mindset are problems with misalignment. They're not problems with us in that we're not doing things wrong. Right, Ava?
That's correct. Definitely. Oh, did you want me to keep going?
That's okay. So we need to consider mental freedom, and that begins when you question inherited beliefs instead of obeying them. Now, that is a big issue because that has become so comfortable. It's like putting our pants on and driving the car. We don't know we're doing those habits. Um, a lot of limitations are psychological, not really factual, or deeply inbred. My mother used to make a spaghetti sauce, and she used to make it so good. Used to because she's not here with us anymore. And it took us years for us to get her to tell us what her secret is. And it was a past generation secret that finally she told us. Um, and then we started doing it, and then we started noticing, well, our sauce is just as good without the secret. It wasn't the secret, it wasn't that one step at all. But those things do get imposed on us. Another example was, when I was a young lady, I was married and I had a family, and my mother was the matriarch of us all still. So at Christmas, we had to come back and we had to be the core family, and we had to serve, and we had to be like the Waltons or something. Um, and that wasn't allowing me to expand or elevate at all. It just kept me in this bubble of routine, familiarity, comfort. But it was great because it was, you could pull it off every year, no matter how many hoops you had to jump through, or how hard it was to be self-sacrificial in a certain way. And to expand, you have to stop being self-sacrificial. And to elevate, you need new topics. Well, so going back to this Christmas effort, I was working on, I knew I had too much on my plate. I knew I wanted to move to this image that I had of myself, my life, my family, and so on. And I didn't realize I was really in conflict yet because it's so, some things are so deeply ingrained in us. So for my mother's Christmas and for the big happy Walton Christmas or whatever, the old fashioned standard glorious Christmas, I was not ready. For my home and for my new tradition and for my family, I was. So that became two different worlds all of a sudden. So there's a lot of challenge and there's a lot of anxiety to acquiring a certain mental freedom when you don't know what it is that you have to break a habit from. The where you have to have the deliberate growing from and release the old belief, habit, or identity. So I went to the Christmas event and I told myself, too bad. It's happening. It's happening whether you do this or not, Nick. So I was like gearing up and I was getting my head in gear and I was trying to face what I had to face because I was in the movement of having a mental freedom to expand and to elevate myself to a new manner of being. And again, you don't realize this all the time. Like when you level up in business, you don't realize the things that might have broken and fall away or that you don't need anymore. So I went to the Christmas event and I didn't excuse myself. I didn't make any logical reasons why certain things weren't done that I usually do. It was a busy time. It was glorious. It was snowing. It was, all the perfect things, all the joys, all the happiness was there. And guess what? Do you know what happened here, Ava?
No.
Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing happened. Nobody noticed.
oh,
The
see?
night the night ended and it was like, what a nice Christmas. I hope we got pictures. Oh, can't wait for next year. Maybe. And I ran off and it was like, yes.
Yeah,
I sometimes it's
in our
not
heads.
conventional, huh?
A lot of times, a lot of things are just in our heads, right? We work through them, but yeah, so many things can happen. But the thing you said that really stuck out is how deep our beliefs, things we think, how deep they run. And it's so true because, like, I've been working on personal development for some time. And sometimes you think you're out of the pit, let's call it that, until something happens. And sometimes some things are still there. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize that was running that deep. And
Yes.
sometimes, and it's funny because I made a video on this today, a short on YouTube, about the same similar thing. Like we get so comfortable with certain things that we forget they're actually even there and they're running in the background. But what I was getting at also too is that we have to do the work as well. Because if we don't, these things will keep coming up to us. And then we're gonna be like, oh, this is still here. We got to do the work on it, like the deep mindset work. And that's where you experience the mindset shifts, the freedom. elevate yourself to next level. But that doesn't mean that the next level something's not going to come up. But because you've done it once, the next time something comes up, usually you're going to be able to recognize it much faster or be able to shift out of it into something different because you already recognize that. And now it's like, oh, I really don't want to be here. Why do I make it so hard for myself? It doesn't have to be this way. And I noticed that in myself few times as I was going through different things. I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you for giving me that aha moment. And now I can work with this and elevate myself, use my higher mental faculties to for better use, as they say, right? So many things you
Yes.
said in there. It's like very good points here. And sometimes, yeah, either we worry too much for nothing, or we dig up something not knowing it was still there. But
Yes.
the danger zone, I think, is getting comfortable. And it's like, oh, it's just a little thing, and we let it slip by, but then it comes
Mhm.
back to us sometimes twice as hard. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, so big.
there's a different angle here, and to challenge yourself with, and that is that we have to withdraw attention from the limitation. Like we're coming in from the perspective that is reasonable and fair and just for us to see. But when you look at the whole circle and when you're learning and we're dedicated learners and we're moving up, we have to see the whole peripheral, and we have to learn to come from a place that um, doesn't withdraw our attention like being stuck on limitation does. And limitation is an unknown awareness that we have to grow.
Yep.
You know, the environment we place on ourselves is either expands or contracts your thinking. Like nothing ever stays the same. And that discipline requires a lot of constant self-observation and correction. Just like, the plane is set for going to Toronto, and if the wind shear and everything else is just going on, the plane is constantly readjusting. Even like the thermostat in the house, the circumstances come in and the thermostat feels that, checks the temperature, and modifies its actions. And those things are imitating us. We've learned to cause those things to do that because that's what we do.
Hmm.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but the funny thing is like I've trained myself in certain things because we're not perfect. Like there's always something to work on. Like, um, honestly, right? And sometimes things happen, and I'm like, you know what? I have a choice. Either I can stay in
Yes.
this or I choose to, like this, be out of that. And that can happen really fast, but we have to make that decision because a lot of us, we spiral. Something bad happens, and next thing is, or somebody, does something, and it's like, oh, it ruins the whole day for most people, or at least half a day until something happens that exceeds that emotion or whatever you went through, then you're like, oh, I'm happy again. Like sometimes like kids are,
Yes.
kids are great for that. And I learned to like, I watch my daughter how fast she switches from bad mood to good mood or vice versa. I'm like, you know what? Since when as adults do we forget to do that? Why do we get
Yes.
stuck in those stupid loops? And I
Yeah.
was like, we have a choice. We have a choice to be like, do I want to be here or not? And that's why a lot of like some of the mentors I study with is like, do you really want to believe that? Is that what you want
Exactly.
right now? And it's like, whew, thank you so much for that wake up call. And
Yeah.
that's mental freedom, I call it right there, when you don't get consumed by that thing that just happened. We learn from it, we move on, release the rest that doesn't serve us, right? I mean, that's the quickest way I
Yes.
can see it. So my daughter, I thank her for that because sometimes when we're stuck in our little loops, yo-yos, um, yeah. So I thank my
Yes.
daughter
Yes.
for that.
Yes, I do too. So,
Yeah.
one way to look at that is we shouldn't wait to feel powerful, is what happens here, or we get stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
Um, what happened there, we're talking about the perspective here again, and where we have to go in the circle of thought where Ava was just talking about is one, we shouldn't wait for to feel powerful about anything, and we shouldn't allow it to diminish us. And two, we have to realize that practice practicing thinking is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of people do that, Nikki, and that's the thing. We shouldn't, but a lot of people do that, and that's why, well, we exist to help you with that. Right? But
Yes.
and I'm guilty of that too. Like back in the day, I was stuck in those loops many times, more than I
Hmm.
like to admit, and even that I've been there. But it does happen, and that's
Yes.
why right now I'm so grateful that I don't get stuck in those loops. I mean, things happen, of course, like if somebody dies or things like that. We have
Oh,
to go through
sure.
the stages, right? But we're
Yeah.
talking here about that mental freedom, the healthy mindset here.
Yes. Yes.
So
So
many
I think
avenues.
what you're another way that to put it for what Ava's saying, to put it in a business structure or a different structure, to take it from this side of the circle and go to this side of the circle, is expansion without elevation leads to overwhelm. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side is elevation without expansion leads to stagnation. So we have to do a little dance.
Yay. All right, let's dance.
you know,
Ah.
it's it's complicated, or it seems like, I'm throwing out little trivialities or something, but this is, you watch the people with success and you see that they have elevation and it's not leading them, like they continue the elevation and they don't ever get a sense of overwhelm. And um, they go into expansion and it never leads to a level of stagnation. They just practice what they know over and over and over and over again. And that is definitely one thing that you'll see in the successful people that you follow before you is they it's not that they know a million things. They know two things to do well. And that is, you know, when they have expansion, not to feel overwhelmed. So they know how to deal with that. And when they have elevation, they know that it leads to continued growth. They know how to do that. So they get in those two grooves and they're doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. We have to find our definition of that when we move into another level of growth and expansion. We have to know which habits were the habits, which routines are the most effective, what is most efficient for us to have that mental freedom to expand efficiently over and over and over again, and to elevate ourselves continuously. And it really comes down to habit and developing your awareness just a little more.
Mm-hmm. So we want to leave you. I think I'm becoming known for that on YouTube channel with questions because it's nice to listen to things and of course reflect. But at the same time, I like leaving people with some questions they can ask themselves as they leave. So here's some. Where in my life, so you can write this down, where in my life, of course, you're asking yourself, do I feel mentally stuck? And what belief is keeping me there? Another one you can
Mm,
think about, am I
that's big.
reacting from old patterns or responding from awareness? What would mental freedom actually feel like for me?
Yes.
So, a couple more. Am I feeding my mind with thoughts that expand or restrict me? Like Nikki was talking about expansion. And what is one of maybe a new belief I'm willing to practice starting today? So, I mean, you can take whatever question works for you that pops out and work on that. And last, what does my next level of thinking look like? So Nikki and I both work in the mindset field and thriving. So feel free to book a call with us if you're going through some stuff, would like to explore this avenue more. We are here for you. So book a call. We don't bite. And definitely, it's I think half an hour, right, Nikki? Half an hour
Yes.
call. And
Yes.
yeah, just ask us question. If you like to have these questions sent to you, just send us a message and I can definitely draft these up. I have about 10 of them you can reflect on and definitely start working on whatever you're working on in life. And Nikki, did you have anything else or we'll close it off for today?
Well, yeah, I have one more thing. I don't usually say anything, but some of the things you said felt like a bit of an intuitive hit to me on some of the things you said. So, especially in the probing of the questions, like sometimes the questions will hit you in an intuitive way. And if it does, that is a serious learning vehicle for you. Dwell there.
Exactly. Beautiful, Nikki. So thank you for watching us today. Take one thing, one new thought from today and work on it, whatever it feels right for you. And we'll see you next time as we talk more about mental freedom. So see you guys in 2 weeks. In the meantime, reach out. Let's connect and have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Nikki.
Bye.
I can't find the button.